Okay, hi guys, Matt Rhodes here, and I'm back with my friend Marcus to analyze, review, predict the Arnold Strongman Classic 2025. How are you going, mate?
Not too bad. A little bit jet lagged, but other than that, yeah, looking forward to this one. Lots of new faces, some quite cool events, um, and yeah, a lot of uncertainty.
And you've got some kind of inside help for us because you've been in Canada training one of the participants, Maxime.
Yeah, had a week out in Canada just to sort of oversee where Max is at the moment. I think a lot of people would have known this time last year, he suffered quite a bad injury, coming back from a bad injury. Um, and just on a little bit of a course correct just to see if we can build him back to having a sustained career. So interesting week, great bloke to be around. Going to be sort of mid high percentages for readiness across the board, but other than that, yeah, I think it's going to be a challenge because the Arnold's always is.
Yeah, but anyway, it's good to see him back in the mix and
Yeah,
hungry for it. So we'll just go through the athletes. We've got a 10-man roster. We've got Mitchell Hooper, Thor Bjornsson, Tom Stoltman, Evan Singleton, Austin Andrade, Bobby Thompson, Lucas Hatton, Maxime Boudreau, Nick Guardioni, and Trey Mitchell.
yeah,
There originally was 11 athletes, but some people might have seen one guy has been taken off the roster, unfortunately, which is Mateusz Kieliszkowski. As far as we know, he isn't injured, but just not fully ready for this after the Achilles problem. Probably is going to be a good move because we expect to see him at World's Strongest Man and probably in good shape for that. So it's disappointing for the Arnolds because Mateus has always been one of the nailed on guys for podium pretty much every time he's ever been there. And I think he's got the highest event win count of anyone, but he's clearly been taken off of the athlete list now. So we're down to 10 athletes, but nevertheless, a very, very strong lineup.
yeah. It is a bit of a shame, but I think sensibly, if it's done, yeah, because it seems to be done for the right reasons. Yeah, to persevere, like for the rest of the season is probably better than throwing all the toys into one basket for from one particular competition. So I wish him all the best. Hope he's well, and look forward to seeing him later in the year.
Yeah, I agree. So, right into our predictions. We'll kick off with the elephant bar. Rogue have put up a $101,000 bounty for anyone that can lift 501 raw on that. This is strongman raw, so you're allowed straps, but otherwise it's raw. So first of all, quickly on that, that's a big ask, isn't it? There's only one man there. I think we can realistically even dream of doing that, which would be Hafthor. But do you think it's still a bit soon for that?
Um, I do. Oh, it's landing on the moon territory. It's a ridiculous weight. Regardless of what you're pulling in training and stuff like that. We've seen some big numbers. Trey obviously last year at the Giants Live pulling raw, one of the best lifts in history, really. But that extra leap, it might as well be a mile at some particular points. But if he does go for it. It might be slightly controversial, but if he does go for it and that money is put up like through sort of some sort of negotiation, I do wonder whether it's him out of the comp. If you put in again all eggs in one basket, that attack for one particular lift. Does it mean that you haven't been that focused on the rest of the competition?
Yeah, I mean that is always a fear. I think of any of the athletes that have ever done these kind of record attempts, Thor is one that has been good for the rest of the competition generally. He's a kind of unique athlete that way. So I think for him, yeah, I'm sure, absolutely sure he will continue no matter what. And he probably can get away with going for the attempt and still performing
Yeah,
after
it's
that.
just to what level,
Yeah, but
and that's the thing because he's not the 2018 version of himself, and it's just for a lot of the other record attempts, the deadlift when it gets pushed that high, it's a massive ask even for a unique individual. But I'd like to see him have a good crack at it because I do think there's going to be some interesting pulls. But as you say, in terms of the one that could do it, he's the highest percentage, probably followed afterwards by the likes of Trey Mitchell. And yeah, I think we've certainly seen an attempt out of Trey.
yeah. I mean, also, of course, always in this tactics come to play. The guys have only rising bar system. The guys have got only three lifts, and that's why I'm not sure it would be sensible for Trey necessarily to go for it on that basis as well. But
Yeah,
when the money's there, anyway, it's good for the sport. The money's there, people talking about it. So just get into some predictions, mate. I'll tell you first of all. So I've got Thor to win the deadlift. I've got Trey coming second. I've got Mitchell Hooper third. Behind that, there's, I believe, four or five guys that is anyone's guess. And in those guys, I've got Andrade, Bobby, Lucas Hatton, Evan Singleton, Tom
yeah.
Stoltman. I think any of those guys could beat each other on the day.
That's honestly exactly as I've got it down here as well. And as I say, Bobby's not posted a huge amount, so you don't know what he can do. But on his day, he's got a great pull on him. Austin Andrade, I do think there's a chance that, say, he might be able to sneak the third place on that one because, and again, even if Mitch isn't 100%, he's just one of those guys at the moment where he knows how to compete. And come competition day, you don't know
Yeah.
what he's got bag. I agree with you on the first two. As you say, tactics come into it a little bit. Depends if someone overshoots. Mistakes can be made in that environment. But other than that, yeah, that next little pile of 4 to 5 athletes, I think anything can happen. So
Yeah.
it's going to be, it is going to be quite an exciting rising bar.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that kind of leaves, as I see it, kind of Guardioni and Maxime as the two guys at the bottom of the results in a deadlift. So the guys are going to have to play catch up from then on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think historically most people have known Max has had a slightly weaker sort of 1 rep max. And even though it's sort of worked on, the bar is set so high on this. Even with Mateusz in there, you're fighting really to come out of that bottom third, and you're still looking at an 850 lift.
It's wild. It's
It's
wild.
how it's gone. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Then we go into the overhead medley, a new event at Arnold's. It's going to be a monster dumbbell into a natural stone overhead into log, and you'll have two choices: weight of log. You have the Austrian oak, which obviously is the heavier one, but the guys can go for a lighter one. But as always, the system with that, 1 rep on the heavier log is more than any number of reps on the lighter log.
yeah,
So as I see it, I'm not sure they've actually officially given out the weights yet, but I have seen the dumbbell and stone weight, and I've got to say, I feel they're too light. I don't think those guys are going to struggle through those two, and therefore, I think everyone is going to, or pretty much everyone is going to race through those first two, the dumbbell and the stone, and it's going to be all about the log.
yeah.
Is that
Yeah, and
any idea?
there'd be a tactical element to that as well in terms of by the time you get to the log, obviously the incentive is there, knowing that the Austrian will trump anything that's done on the lighter log.
Yeah.
But at the same time as well, that Austrian oak has caught a lot of people out over the years. The clean itself is a test in its own right. Yeah, I think the dumbbell definitely. I agree with you. The stone, it depends on what comes out. As we saw last year, the stone was a particular challenge for a lot of people.
I think that's why they've made the stone not so heavy this time, but the trade-off for that is it's almost like, well, why have it in there if it's not really going to push them to the limits, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
because people, regardless of how it looks, because it's going to be a set size to a point because of mass, but
yeah,
you want to know that looks a challenge. There's going to be people sat there with blocks at home or concrete blocks or sandbags going, I press that.
yeah, yeah. And this whole event has got 2 minutes. So if it goes as I see it, the guys are going to race through in 30, 40 seconds, the dumbbell and the block. So basically, we've got something like a 90-second tournament on the log. And so the question is, how many reps can the winner or the winners get? Do you think something around the 3 to 4 reps is going to be the winning margin?
I think for someone like Trey, if he comes through, quite quite sort of steady. I think he has. He's probably got 4 reps on that Austrian oak. I think he's the only one really that can set the bar on that if he gets through sort of unscathed. The rest of it is going to be down to efficiency on that first clean and press. There's a number of people that can do it. Austin Andrade, has got the capability of, I think, working with the Austrian Oak. It's going to come down again just to, whether you can condition yourself. Because till you're there, you've seen what it's done historically over the years. There's been immense presses, but it fatigues you like nothing else. And again, tactics. What do? Do you have one clean attempt and then just cut your losses and take what energy you've got, and then it's a turkey shoot for the light reps?
Yeah. So, right, how's this event going to go? I have got Lucas Hatton and Trey Mitchell tying for first in this event.
Okay.
Just behind them, I've got Mitchell Hooper, Mr. Consistency.
Yeah.
And then behind that again, this is confusing me. Tom, Evan, Andrade, Bobby. Again, I actually think there could be a lot of guys splitting points here, which does mean if the likes of Hatton, Hooper, Trey can finish above them, they could really start separating themselves away on points.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what version of Tom turns up. There's been a sort of a change in the backroom staff, and hopefully sort of a little change towards conditioning, which regardless of like form factors and training elements as well, just looking after yourself, conditioning yourself should always be up on the higher of your schedule. But
as you know, I've said for years that I believe Tom has won these World's Strongest Mans in spite of the coach that he had. I've always campaigned for the fact that he should get a different coach, and I believe he would have been much closer to winning other majors if he had had a coach before. So now we get to see what kind of difference that is going to make for him.
I think for the majority of these people as well, is like you come from any other sport, it's just like, why would you have one? You have a little bit of a team to put together. But I say it would be a first proper run in, I think, a very, very heavy comp. I know we saw glimpses at the Rogue, but it doesn't give anyone enough time really just to sort of set in stone their protocols for what goes on. And again, in agreement, really, I think Trey wins this. I think you're right, Lucas Hatton, who is just improving. And also I like his demeanour towards competitions as well. He carries himself really well. And I think with things like this, as with the type of people you get, the type of historic events that you sort of take part in as well, I think the way that you carry yourself does play a little bit of a part. And he just looks like he's gathering a little bit of momentum, and that's no bad thing. Mitchell Hooper always finds a way, so I'm in the mix on that one. But I actually think this is one where Tom might actually come through quite well. The first part of it is it's just that I think he'll shave the time, and 5 to 10 seconds might be the difference between getting the second rep on the larger log. But again, Andrade fitness I think will play a role. You don't know what Bobby's going to turn up, but again, Evan, if Evan turns up a little bit more sort of like 80% and T-Rex 20, very dangerous. If it's 80% T-Rex, 20% Evan, could go the other way.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the theme all the way through this. We can get a good idea of the first top two, and behind those, every event, I think there's 4 or 5 guys that can mix it up, and that's why it's going to be super complicated to work out the podium, I think.
Yeah, having been out there as well, I also looked at the efficiency. I think Max has had to swap sides with dumbbell and stuff like that, and all of a sudden you're not looking at those sort of top finishes, but all of a sudden you're starting to see comp weights go up like 5 weeks out, and it's just like, okay, you really started putting things together. The final week in training, actually be able to go through, and it, like for someone like Max as well, it will go down to that log. The log choice. But in terms of weight, it's certainly there, so that it genuinely could provide a surprise, but certainly not at the cost of the top 3.
Yeah. Anyway, then we move on to frame carry. Well, talking to Maxime, for me, obviously on this, I think we just got to go kind of historically, other than the guys that haven't done this before. So straight off the bat, I've got Maxime to win this, Mitchell Hooper second, Thor third. Thor had a great run at this last year. So I've got those 3 just based on previous form. Behind those guys, Lucas Hatton, we've got no idea whatsoever how he's going to do on this. He sounds confident, but I think everybody is coming into it, but it catches people out all the time. But that's my top 3, Maxime, Hooper, Thor.
Yeah, it's a shame we're starved of really what would have been a really good three-way shootout as had Mateusz been there as well, because
Yeah.
if they can all come in firing as well, that would have been absolutely electric. I'd have probably looked at someone like Evan and just, when you look historically, I can't remember how many feet he got last time, but then you look at, as been pointed out, and you look at his performance at World's Strongest Man with a frame that caught a lot of people out, including Mitchell. Again, depending which one turn up, he could surprise people. Lucas, I don't think there's a false confidence in this. I think he's worked really, really hard. Do I think he's going to be quick? No, but I think he'll complete it. And I don't think I actually don't think he's going to drop it. I don't think he's going to drop it. I think there's going to be enough in the tank to get him over the line. And again, we find ourselves in that position of where you look behind and it's just like, it's going to be a right, excuse me, it's going to be a right mixed bag.
This is where Trey Mitchell historically has done very badly, and Trey is someone I see has a very high chance on the podium this year, and this once again is an event that could be very, very crucial to him if he fails and comes all the way down the bottom.
If Trey can finish, probably even 6 and up,
that would be a great result, I think, for him.
It'd be a fantastic result. But I say again, historically, you just don't know. But in the way that other things have gone and the way he's sort of handled stuff, it looks like there are improvements, and I certainly hope so. I know it's one of those things where sometimes it's a little bit of a wish, but he's a very likable character, and to have, especially in that such a deficiency, he's certainly going to be a favourite to win Worlds over the next couple of years. But it's one where I'll actually be sat there wishing him well.
Yeah. So then we go into another new event, the overhead jerk. People who have watched my last video on this channel, I went to meet Mikhail Koklayev, who is one of the all-time greats and in all strength sports, and he showed a technique for this. And it's very apparent that really only 2 guys have got anything like the technique. Lucas Hatton has got the best technique, it appears. Mitchell Hooper, something like it, and the rest of the guys are really kind of pressing this thing, well, they are pressing this thing rather than a split jerk. They can do it in front or behind the neck. Nonetheless, the guys in training are showing massive numbers, even including Hafthor, who thankfully his pressing is coming back, which is great to see. I have got Lucas Hatton to win this event with whatever number he needs. I believe something like 260 kilograms, which is 575 pounds. I think somewhere around that will be the winning margin. Looking at this event, I think after it goes over something like 220 kilograms, the increments are approximately just around kind of 5 kilograms, which is probably a good thing, because then I think we won't get all the guys sharing points. If there was 10 kilogram increments, we would. Yeah. But because it's relatively small increments, I think we can get a decent split on points through the guys here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Hooper versus Lucas, because I think they both drive each other on, and I wouldn't be surprised to see something quite wild. Just because of performance and then also ego. Again, the rest of it then is just down to outright power and a little bit of luck as well, because in that position in the competition, it is day 2. You don't know what's taken out of you from, you don't know what sort of injuries you're going to be sort of harbouring, or even sort of confidence issues going into it, because until you're on that kit, until you're on that platform, you do not know really what's going to happen. The technical guys within certain realms, they do. They have that confidence.
I think this is a dangerous event for Thor in terms of his challenge for a podium. The way I've got this is Hatton to win it, Hooper second. I've got to go for Tom third in this. But then you've got Evan, Trey, Thor, Andrade again. This could go absolutely any way, I think, after the top 2. But that's how I've got it. Hatton, Hooper, Tom.
Yeah, I'm not too far away from you on that one. Again, there's 3 people there. I think if Evan has his Hail Mary and he is on form, you could expect something wild. It could either go brilliantly right, or it could just be like, oh, that's bad, and you're sort of gritting your teeth a little bit. Trey on pure power, again, Andrade, but I'm going to say that actually Evan punches and actually goes for a flat out attempt and can be my little dark horse on that event for a third place.
Does Thor lose a lot of points here?
I think it is just a case of being in the mix. I think even with the small increments, I think there'll be a certain point of where some of these powerful guys actually just get tied up. I think when you're in that sort of 220, 225, 230 realm, I think, as I say, because of the weight of the rest of the competition, I think it's going to catch a few people and just hold them in place.
Okay. Then we got the timber trial. It's like a carry and drag. I think it's loading logs onto some kind of sled and pulling it.
Yeah.
Not sure they've got the exact details actually for this event.
No, got a rough idea, but
Yeah,
again,
so it's a little bit difficult. If the sled feels very heavy, if the surface is difficult, all these things will come into play, and that's where it's going to be tough. I think the heavier it is, the better for Thor, and the better for someone like Lucas Hatton.
yeah,
But if it's a bit lighter, some of the more you would say athletic guys, faster guys are probably going to go ahead and win it. But because it's a new thing and we don't know how it's going to feel weight wise for the guys, it's very difficult to predict. So I'm just going to go on kind of history of this type of thing, assume it's Arnold's super heavy, and I'm going to go for Thor to win it with Mitchell Hooper in second and Lucas Hatton in third. But this is serious guesswork at this point.
yeah. As I say, until you know how much that, we spent the week trying to sort of guesstimate friction values of certain woods on concrete. What footwear you wear, the length of the chains, and the sort of position of everything. But again, because even if it is heavy and the inertia is removed, who's got good drive, who's got good power? Is it going to be a body weight challenge? You say gassing. If you just go on the factors, you say, if it just turns out to be one of those events like, what was it, the old brickwork that caught people out a few years back at Worlds, you've just got to go on the fact that a mass monster is going to absolutely power his way through, and you can't look beyond Thor. I think in terms of actual just outright quad power and drive, again, agree, Lucas is up there. I think on his day, it's going to be... even just being able to bury his legs and just push back, I think Trey's in the mix on this one. I don't think the Achilles can be brought into this one too much. And again, for a little bit of lunacy, if Evan's on point, he's a big lad. But having seen, obviously, train with Max as well, that first part, I tell you what, if the inertia is not too bad and just goes out to a straight leg pump shootout, he could be in the mix. And also someone that,
Tom with his size and now conditioning. Yeah. It's everyone, isn't it?
Again, it's just a big sort of mix. You don't. The first time I mentioned Nick as well. Nick's a good athlete, and from judging by some of the training, you can't rule him out for sort of a power element. But if it's straight out strength, it is those top two. It's Lucas and Thor.
Yeah. That's why this is so difficult to predict. Right. Last event, it's stone to shoulder. I wish they would use tombstone. It's a much more beautiful event, I think, than a basic Atlas stone. But anyway, we've got stone to shoulder. Marcus, again, I'm struggling.
I got one winner. That's it. My heart just goes. Tom's fantastic at Atlas stones. But in terms of stone to shoulder, in the manner in which I've watched this lad manhandle stone since like 2017, Taculus, Trey Mitchell.
That's who I've got as my winner. So we actually both agree on that, on Trey. Once again, after that, this is getting tricky. I am going to say that I think Thor can come up trumps on this and get second place. However, I actually think we may well have a lot of guys tied for points on this one, and I'm really struggling to split them apart.
Yeah, have they been actually decided? Because I know that I know Lucas himself noted that the weight of the heavy stone, especially if they're fresh out the blocks, is a bit of a concern. And I think that's going to play a little bit of a role. I think your timing of when you go is going to play a little bit of a role. Because regardless of what you do, a brand new stone is always going to be a little bit tricky. If there's a bit of skin, bit of tack, bit of tack sheet still on it, we're talking fine margins. But I think it's going to be very, very dependent on the weight and the condition of that final big stone. Because again, what is it? You're sort of trumping, one another on weight. But Trey, because I don't think it would make it much of a difference what it is. Thor is going to be in the mix. Tom, it would be disappointing to see him outside of the sort of top 3 on this one. I say loading other stones, a bit fine, but there have been instances and recent instances as well. He's been caught out. But again, you've got to throw Mitchell into the mix purely because I don't think it would make a difference what it was. They could make a concrete dodecahedron. It'd still find a way to get the damn thing moved because he's just bloody good. Yeah. Again, having seen what the lad can do, Max could surprise a couple of people here because he has actually genuinely just bloody surprised me as well. And then, as I say, you throw into the mix the likes of Oster and Evan and stuff like that purely because it's just power output.
Yeah, and there you haven't mentioned Hatton, and I think Hatton's someone who surprised people and coming top 3 in this. So it's once again,
you've got that. This one you really do. You just got a barrel of people of where you stir it up and they just come out in a different. And just because of that's how this one's going to play out. Yeah, it's so difficult to predict this one.
It's the most unpredictable I can remember in years. Really is, because as we've said, behind the top 2 in each event, it's not obvious between 4 or 5 guys. So that points difference across all the events is so difficult.
And it's one of the ones as well where you look through and I say, I feel bad because it's like I've not mentioned Nick too much. I've not mentioned sort of Bobby too much, and you've made the grid. I think if you can come through this one unscathed and you've done all right, you've made the grid. It's an F1 grid.
Yeah, this is a great lineup.
Yeah, I think the way it's sort of, I think with the events that you've got, I think with the timing of it, as I say, people coming back from injuries, new lads in, new events, stuff like that. I think you can hang your hat on a 3 to 4, people being in the mix, and then the rest of it could go either way. It really could. After that, and there's no, whoever finishes last, it's just going to be down to you rerun that competition 3 times over, it would change 3 times.
So we're going to make some predictions. So I'll go first. I've got to pick Mitchell Hooper to win. He's the informed strongman for a couple of years. I don't think he's going to win one event here, unless he manages to pit Maxime on the timber carry. But Maxime has to start as favourite for that, I think. But consistency rules in strongman, and I think Hooper can be around, top 3, maybe like a 4th, and overall that would be enough to win this.
Yeah.
I've got Lucas Hatton in second. I believe of all the strongmen that haven't yet won a major, Mateusz Kieliszkowski obviously has come so close so many times and still could, but otherwise Lucas Hatton is the one most likely to be the guy that breaks through and wins a major competition that hasn't done so yet. Obviously, he's relatively new. So I'm backing him to podium and to come second here. And then I have got it between Thor, Tom, and Trey for third. Well, I know that's pretty vague, but Trey, like I say, I think, again, the frame could really cost him. Thor, the overheads, he's improved a lot, but the guys are so good in this event that it could still cost him points. Yeah. And Tom, I don't know, he's got the new coach. If he brings his absolute A game, of course he's going to be right in the mix. If not, it's going to be so close between those 3, I think, for third place.
Yeah, I put Evan and Tom in almost the same category, really, for how you sort of turn up. If it goes well, you're right in the mix and you could hit a podium. Tom probably just has a little bit extra and could probably sneak. But, yeah, you can't. I'm going to be bullish. I'm actually just going to go and this is no disrespect to Mitch, but I'm just going to throw the fact that, do you know what? Let's go with a little bit of romance as well. Let's just say that Lucas has learnt a little bit a year on, and he just throws in the performance of his life. And again, very much he's learnt from people like Mitchell, who's been a forerunner for it, and he just gets that 4th where Mitchell might get a 5th in one particular event and just snatches it. Probably won't play out that way, but I'll go with a bit of romance. Mitch comes in second, and I'm going to say Trey surprises us by being able to hold on to that frame, and there's a point in it, and he takes third. As I say, I'm going with romance here rather than probably how things factually will play out. But who the hell knows?
Yeah, and it's kind of odd to, be picking top three without Thor or questioning if he hit top three. But, it's just again, it's the overheads. As much as its overheads
Yeah.
improve, maybe that will be the factor in there. But
And also, it's the unknown factors that actually the omission from Mateusz as well makes a big difference, because you've got a man in certain events there which is a points winner.
yeah,
He's also in those mid-tier events as well. He splits people
yeah,
and creates bigger divides. And you've got the unknown really for probably 2 or 3 events where if Bobby's fit, Bobby causes an upset in certain events, not across the whole thing, but in certain events. It just means that unknown and the omission from Mateusz just means that there's a few of the lads that just sort of separate themselves at the top, and then that sort of almost third through to probably 7th is just who knows.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's going to make it a great watch.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the Arnolds. It was always been my kind of favorite of the strongman events to separate the kind of who really is the champ. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Apologies, I look tired, guys. I was gonna say I'm tired today. I think I've been tired for 6 months, but anyway, glad to get this in, and I think we will certainly look forward to your comments on who you think are going to win, your predictions. Let us know if you think we've got it about right or wrong. Sounds like you and I, Marcus, are generally on about the same kind of thoughts as the top few guys, but probably more confused than ever, I think, for a major tournament. So,
yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see and say if you get any inside information, put it in the comments, and we might learn a bit too.
Yeah. Okay, mate. Well, perhaps we'll be back after to review and see how badly we did, and mock us in the comments then. All right, mate. Always good to see you. And yeah, we'll be back soon, guys. Thanks for watching.